men's basketball season has ended. There's been so much going on. We feel terrible, but we did promise a recap podcast in which we're gonna have a lot of fun. Just for all you watching, it might be a little bit wild. We're gonna recap all of our tier 2 and tier 1 team seasons, give a little, quick recap about them, go through our championship games, which we still haven't posted the highlights for. That will hopefully be out very soon, so stay tuned for that. We're also going to announce our tier 1 and tier 2 Twillory MVPs. Of course, MVPs will receive a free Twillory suit from Twillory. We'll also, go through the championship games in depth, discuss the championship MVPs and how that played out. So, of course, if we're going to have a men's basketball recap, there's no one better to have on than our good friend, personally and for the league, Jeffrey Salimanov is here to help go through the season. Jeff, how you doing? Say hi to the folks that you haven't seen in a while since basketball season ended.
Miss you guys. Looking forward to this fall. We want to run it back. Hopefully, we can get everybody back. If not, hopefully some new guys. But just excited to do this podcast with you, Avi. Excited to get the season recap out of the way. Excited to talk about the All-Star tournament, our first All-Star tournament, which I think was a
Right.
huge success.
Yes, for sure.
I was at that game, and everybody that stayed for that last game was invested, and we had some almost highlights that we'll discuss, and it was a really fun weekend, and I'm excited for the growth and to continue to see HSL just reach new heights every single season,
Yeah,
basketball and even softball.
and even softball. I'll tell you something, about the growth. So, like, I don't know if I should be saying this because this video will be public, but I'll say it anyways. We opened up registration privately within our league for this month, for the month of June. We want to give guys who've either brought teams in the past, who have played in the league and now want to bring new teams, first dibs, obviously, as of now, we're at max capacity of 24 teams before we open up to the public. So when we opened it up, within, I would say, an hour, we had 8 teams, like, hard confirmed, like, totally locked in. And it's just crazy to think that just literally a year and a half ago, in the fall of 2025, we had 8 teams total. And within literally minutes of opening up, not even public registration, just registration within our HSL men's basketball community, we had 8 teams confirmed already. It's pretty awesome, and we're super excited. And let's get right into it. We had an awesome season, a lot of back and forth. I think the best part of our season was that I would say 90% of our teams, and there's 12 teams in each division. We're somewhat competitive. Obviously, not every team had a legitimate shot at winning a championship. When you have 12 teams in a league, it's very hard to go 1 through 12 having a shot. But you have the top 7, 8, even 9 teams in some cases with a legitimate chance to shock the world, and that's very impressive. I think it's something that we were very proud of. So let's go through it, Jeff. I'll let you take it away here. We'll start with the 12. The bottom seed in tier 2 is day 3, of course, captained by Josh Rahani. Jeff, give us your little synopsis of their season.
Josh, love the guy. He came in. I think that Josh thought he could just get a couple of guys together and really just be aggressive and play, because I know he came last season and he saw tier 2 and he's like, we could compete in tier 2. Came, saw, and realized, hey, tier 2 is not what it once was. But thank you, Josh. Josh came out, gave his effort every single game. Yes, they finished the bottom of the power rankings, but I will tell you this about Josh: they competed. When we played against them, they were competitive. They always gave it their all, and I'm excited and I'm hopeful that Josh does come back with his team. A little bit of an upgraded team, hopefully. And day 3, great season. Didn't, not a great. It was a fun season. They were in every game, so I enjoyed watching them play. I enjoyed watching Josh and his boys play every week.
Yeah, and if we're gonna give a highlight, which I think we'll try to highlight something with every team, obviously the highlight for day 3 is that they ran Wabizri to the brink, right? Wabizri obviously had a dominant season, ultimately falling short in the championship, but they had a big lead over Wabizri, who had most of their guys, not everyone, most of their guys there, and they blew it late. But Wabizri, who really dominated most of the regular season, ironically enough, the bottom team in tier 2, really gave them a real good game. I think that was a shocker to everyone. I was definitely shocked, and I was very happy to see that. So I think if you're going to have to put a highlight on their season, that would be the highlight. Of course, as you were saying, Josh Rahani is a stand-up guy, an awesome guy, brings great energy for the league. I was speaking to briefly yesterday, and we were trying to work something out. Hopefully, he'll be able to put something together. Okay, going into number 11 in the finish from last year. Jeff, take it away.
We had KGN Mixology. I think captain over there was Mayor Fink.
Yes.
Just another one of those teams that if the game was 34 minutes long, they would probably be 6-2. You
Yeah.
know, another team always up, always had, a 5, 6 point lead with a couple of minutes to go, and just found ways to lose the game. But let me tell you something. They were those losers. Like when they would lose with a smile on their face. You would never hear them arguing, never fighting. I think it was what's it called, Zaki. Was it Zaka?
Zakai,
What's his
Zakai,
guy?
Zakai.
Zakai. Yeah, Zakai. Such an energy plug. Such a sweetheart.
Great defender.
Dove. So
Great defender,
yeah,
especially with
Dove.
his size.
I believe, yeah, I think Dove was on their team and Mayer. Just a bunch of really nice guys. I believe the highlight of their season was the first week of the season when they guaranteed a championship. I think that was adorable. But listen, again, they won their first week of the season. I think they actually beat Clutch Auto in the first game of the season, which was
Yeah.
a massive win. Clutch was a really good team. Granted, I think Clutch was missing one of their bookbinder brothers that game,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, to beat that team, even if with the missing bookbinder, was impressive. So I think that was definitely their highlight of the season, was their first week beating Clutch. It was I didn't see the game. I heard of the game a little bit, and again, great team, great guys. I think sometimes the character of the player is more important than the talent of the player. And KGN Mixology, just great character. Shout out to Livey. Livey sponsored your team, KGN Mixology. It was actually at one of his parties recently. Great bartender, great
So
show.
was I,
So
by the way.
shout
The
out to KGN.
RCC, I actually saw him at the RCCS event a couple weeks ago. That Zaman Pollock, who plays in our softball and basketball league, put together. And they're awesome. I had like 6 drinks. I got a little tipsy. The Nick game was on, although it's a sore topic this morning. But yeah, he was awesome. And again, I think that obviously there are a lot of guys that are still either in yeshiva or just at yeshiva. They're not playing consistent basketball, which is probably to your point why they got tired towards the end of games, which could definitely cost them, as Jeffrey's uncalled for puts on a Nick cap when he shouldn't be this morning. But again, they're great guys, great energy, and we'll see if they come back. Again, they all have tough schedules. Some of them are in yeshiva, some are right out of yeshiva, some of them are studying for smicha and kollel. So we'll see. Hopefully, they come back. But again, great energy, and we appreciate them. Let's go on to number 10, Jeff.
So number 10, it was Crown. It was Crown Care. Sorry, Joey. They were at number 10, and this is a compliment to the league as a whole, that a team that was 1 or 2 plays away from winning the championship last season couldn't make the playoffs this season, and their biggest issue this season was attendance. And
I was
like
about
I've
to
been
say
saying for
that.
two
I was about to
seasons
say
now,
that. Yeah.
I've been saying this for 2 seasons, that the greatest ability is availability.
Yeah.
When your best players, Avrami Zegelbaum, can only make it to 4 or 5 games, and you had my love Prager, he gets hurt. He gets hurt in a pointless football game that Avi likes to run.
Hey, it was for charity. Don't be too harsh.
Yeah, he did. He gave up his shoulder for charity.
That's right. It's good.
They're a good team. Donnie Freed is just watching him come along every single season. I remember when I first subbed. I subbed for MS Motors probably in your first season, and I remember Donnie, and just watching Donnie's evolution as a player, watching him go through this whole journey. It's just very nice to watch. And Jeremy became a father again for his third kid during the season.
Yeah.
So their highlight for the season was I think I have to highlight that they didn't attack Steve, the referee. I think that
Steve Omar, yeah.
Steve Omar, somebody's. But,
there's no physical attack, although there was a lot of upset man. I spoke to him about it briefly, and I told him, like, obviously, it's going to be an issue coming this year. I do want to get a fourth ref in the rotation regularly. I think it's better for the league, especially if we're going to have 2 gyms going on at the same time. We're going to need 4 refs, to ref at the same time. Obviously, there were a couple of games that I think were impacted by the refs. It may have also, obviously been a reason why they missed the playoffs. They played better than to miss the playoffs. They definitely, played well. But to your point, Rami Zegelbaum is the heart and soul of their team. He's their big man. They run everything through him. And Sean Prager is their best scorer on their team. Donnie Freed, I think, shocked the world. I think he had an unbelievable season. Definitely much better than in years past. And again, it's another example of guys that are awesome guys, friends of mine, playing our softball league, and a team that we'd love to have back. To quote Toby, said, "I'll speak to the boys" yesterday. So we'll see where that gets. A lot of them are playing now in the JSL draft league, which I feel a little bad about. I was in the Cheese store, chatting with Daniel Goldfarb yesterday, and Daniel's like, "I'll be like, the JSL draft league, they have 12 teams. Like, I would have loved for you to do it." And the answer is I would have loved to do it. I want to do it, but it just...
You and I discussed it.
We did discuss it. And the answer is, unfortunately, we have a whole another world here in HSL men's softball, and right now we just don't have the infrastructure to be able to handle both at the same time. Maybe in the future we will, but at this season it was just too close. It was, everything was, and also sort in HSL, like if we're gonna do something, I really want to do it right. Like I want to be able to get set things up, make it fun. Like I was never gonna be there, almost never gonna be there. The games would have to be squeezed into one night or so, maybe 2 nights if possible, and I don't know. I wasn't ready for it. It was too much for me at the time, and hopefully in the future we could do it. But I was hopefully these guys will stay warm in the summer, come back, bring a team, and they'll be a little bit ahead of the game against a lot of other teams that maybe aren't playing as much ball in the summer. So we definitely hope Crown comes
Absolutely.
back. Well, we know Crown will be coming back, but we know that hopefully the players on Crown will be coming back, and we're excited for
Well,
them. All right, let's go to the
well,
9, Jeff,
at number 9, we had TJB Deals.
who are confirmed coming
Again,
back for
I,
the
yeah, I
fall
know
season.
they're confirmed.
Yeah.
They, Dr. Arthur, God bless him, one, like I always say, one of the nicest guys in the league. If
Hmm.
there's ever a scheduling issue, Arthur is always willing to accommodate. Lovely guy. Their team was definitely a playoff team. Again, their youth got in their way a little bit. I know they have a lot of really young kids, and I think that's kind of what kept them out of the playoffs, is because they would blow a lot of games late
Yeah.
due to their, just the lack of experience with them. So I know they're coming back, and I will put this in right now. TJB Deals will be in the playoffs next season, and I will put them as a top 5 team if this team comes back next season. I'm
Wow.
high on them. I think they're good kids. I think that Arthur's going to get these kids into shape. Again, his son Dave is only about 15, 16 years old. It's another 14 or 15-year-old kid on the team. You have the 3 Matayev brothers that are all really good ball players. So they're a really good team. Their highlight this season was definitely their 20-point comeback against Mava Capital. I joked about it. It was a little custody battle between Yuri and Arthur, and it was just definitely a great game. TJB Deals down 20 late and just came storming back, and that's when again, their youth kept them out, but their youth got them back into that game because they didn't know any better. They were
Yeah.
down 20 and they just put all their effort. And I remember the last game of the season against Gordon Companies. It was a win and you're in type of situation,
Hmm.
and they gave Gordon Companies a run for their money. I think it ultimately came down to just a last second shot for Gordon Companies.
I think they had a
A
buzzer,
couple of
right? It
missed free
wasn't
throws here
a
and there.
buzzer layup
It
to win the
wasn't a
game.
buzzer. It was again, it's where their youth kind of screwed them. It was a 2-point game. Gordon Companies inbounded the ball, and instead of fouling, they
Oh
tried to
right.
play defense. Yeah,
Oh right.
and
Who did
they
Gordon
didn't
have the
foul on
buzzer
time.
against? Was that against Mava?
Gordon beat Clutch. No, they beat Clutch
Oh,
at the buzzer
clutch
in the
in the
playoffs.
playoffs. Right. That was nuts. That
Yeah,
was insanity. Absolute insanity.
yeah. So
Yeah, listen, TJB, they're an awesome team, awesome guys. Of course, Arthur is amazing. And what I like most about their team is, like you were saying, you have dads playing with sons, and you have, older guys playing with younger guys, and they're a competitive team. And it's just awesome to see. It's fun to see, and it's great energy for the league.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
coming up now at number, where are we at? 8 now?
8. I have Altbank at 8. Altbank at 8. Another just a really good team. They came in strong, and I myself, I was high on them, and it was just another one of those teams that would just get into their own way sometimes. They had the talent. They had Kia, who was an absolute freak.
Kia's a great asset for the
Yeah,
league and also a great
yeah,
guy, but Kia's just awesome. Obviously he's a fiery guy, but again, he's a stand-up guy after the game. No matter how upset
absolutely.
he'll get at a ref, he would always come back and say, that's on me, my bad. He's, it's a very stand-up guy. Great player, fast, quick, great shot, great jump shot. Love
And
going to
athletic as hell.
yeah, it's crazy. And
I
their
think
team,
he's about 5'9" or 5'10", and I'm pretty sure there was a point in the season where he went up for an offensive rebound, and I thought he had a putback dunk. That's how high he
craziness.
got at one point, and I'm like, this kid is a freak athlete.
So it's funny. Actually, I haven't reached out to Kia yet. I hope he's bringing back a team.
No, no, they're coming back. I've seen some of the guys in the park. I've seen Nathan around. They're coming back. I've spoken to Isaac. They'll be back.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I haven't,
Uh,
because I didn't get a message from him that he's in,
yeah.
but I haven't reached out to him yet either.
I mean, for their highlight of the season,
Yeah.
it's tough because like they had some good wins. I'm trying to remember who they played.
Who did they lose to in the playoffs? They lost in
They
the
lost to
in the
they lost in
playing
the
game,
playing games to Mava.
right? And that was they blew a very big lead in that game. How did that play out?
I don't remember the details. I know it was a back and forth game from what I understood. I wasn't at the game, but from what I understood, people told me it was a back and forth game.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, but again, they had a good season and they started off pretty hot, right? I think they started off like
Yeah.
2-1 or 3-1 or
So
something.
they played Big E Meats to start the season, and the game was really close. I remember, and I actually think this could have been a highlight for them, as well. Even though it was a loss against us. I think it could have been a highlight because it was kind of their coming out party. Because nobody really knew what to expect. Nobody knew who Kia was. Nobody knew who Isaac was. Nobody knew who Mike was. Who all these guys were. And next thing you know, it's halftime, and I think we were your favorites to start the season,
Yes.
Big E Meats, and they're right there in a 1 point game against us at the half. So
It was a breath of fresh air knowing that a new team that entered the league is competitive. Whenever we have a new team, and unfortunately we had
yeah,
one or two of those that didn't work out,
I
it's
think
always
you
a
had them
risk.
ranked at 11
Yeah, it's,
before
it's
the
always a
season
risk
started.
because you don't know who they are talent wise, and also you don't know who they are personality wise. And they check the box 100% in both categories. When you have a team
Yeah,
that's
and also
talented and
yeah,
that's just great personalities, it's such a win for the league, and we're super happy that they joined. And also shout out for that. And obviously Ben Roberts played a very big role in help in
yeah,
connecting Kia, so we really appreciate Ben for that.
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
moving
Number
on to
7,
the 7. Go ahead,
Mava Capital at 7, and
Yuri.
Yuri, I love you, Yuri.
He is now Yuri is an official HSL poster boy. The man is all over his kids. He's a sponsor. He sponsors the kids, sponsors the adults, brings teams. Yuri's like our biggest fan. We're so thankful to have him. Anyways, go ahead, Jeff.
Yuri's also my biggest problem in free agency right now.
Oh, explain. Oh, go through. What's the hock? What's the hock, as they
Uh,
say?
so for our tier 2 team, well, my tier 2 team is completely revamped this season coming in. So we've lost Sam, Danny, Jesse, Max. We lost a bunch of our guys because the truth is the guys like Sam and Danny, they belong in tier 1. As great as they were for tier 2, they're good tier 2 players. They'll be good tier 1 players. So they're moving themselves up to tier 1. They're bringing a tier 1 team next season.
Yes.
So I lost them. So I kind of did some recruiting. I brought in my Kindlech, Josh and Johnny.
Love it.
Ezra and I have been doing a little bit of recruiting. We bring him out to Ariel. So we had this kid, Oren Mishael. He played on
Yeah.
Holy Schnitzel last season. So he was kind of in with us. And
Uh-oh.
we
Uh-oh, Yuri. Uh-oh.
and apparently Yuri is his uncle. So Yuri reached out to him. Oren called me and he's like, listen, I just wanted to be transparent. I'm gonna play with Yuri. He's my uncle. I just want to, I can't play for you and when my uncle is there. So I said, you know what? I'm not upset. Go do what you have to do. So
For
I
sure.
returned the favor and I snatched Elia Vizov from Yuri.
Ah. Love that.
So we're running with Ariel, Ellie, Josh, Johnny. We have this kid, Dylan and I are actually working together on this tier 2 team a little bit.
Oh, Dylan, really?
Yeah, Dylan Kaufman is working with us. It's Ezra Kolsky. We have this kid Derek who's coming back. Apparently, he was in your inaugural season. Played for the
Derek
Vipers.
Orenstein. Yeah.
Yeah, he played in your inaugural season, so he's going to be running with us.
Very
So
cool.
we got a nice little team coming. But from Alva
So
Capital,
Dylan's gonna be playing both tier 1 and tier 2. Love to see that. Okay.
yeah, Dylan is going to play tier 2 and warm the bench in tier 1.
Right.
Let's call it spade a spade.
Well. Yeah. No, I'm saying that's becoming a popular thing here. Like Jeff.
Yeah.
Also, you don't play.
I do that same thing.
Ben Roberts does the same thing. It's actually becoming pretty common. Guys, and also there's a certain skill set we talk about on softball to coaching a team, to running a team. People enjoy it. People love it. I happen to love it also. If I had an opportunity, I would do it. You saw me coaching during the All-Star game. I love that stuff. So it's really not crazy, especially if you have a sponsor for one of the two teams and you're only, or if you have a lot of money, and you're able to get out of the house twice a week. You coach one team, you play one night. I think it's a great move for a lot of people. So again, I'm excited to have them run back. Let's move on. What's the next?
Avi, do you want to make sure that we're recording, by the way?
We're recording. We're on.
Okay, good. Making sure.
Just something worried you? That's 19 minutes.
My clock isn't running. That's why.
I'm not gonna run it. Go ahead.
So, like we said, Mava's biggest, I think for Mava, their biggest highlight of the season was definitely the last game of the season. It was a win in their end. They beat KGN in a pretty close game. I know KGN was running with a lot of subs, but that was a close game. Ultimately, KGN only had 5 guys who ran out of energy and just didn't have enough to stop Mike, Ellie, and then company.
Yeah.
So that was definitely their highlight. Yuri,
Agreed.
looking forward to seeing you next season. I love you, my brother. Looking forward to another great season with you. At number 6, we have, drum roll please. I know he's going to be really upset at me for this one, but Moshe Kraft, number 6, Addictive Receipts.
Yes, sir.
Only because, I just think that the 5 guys ahead of them were just better at the end of the season. Addictive Receipts are just another team that everybody was kind of low on because of last season, and they were really bad a season ago. And this season they came back
It
with,
honestly came out of nowhere. I mean, Kraft
yeah,
predicted. I'll tell you, Moshe Kraft said before the season that like he has these two guys that he's gonna bring that's gonna play every game. And then they even played, and they still were very
yeah.
competitive, and still were, I think the 3 seed at one point going to the last week of the
They
season.
they were in play for a top 2 seed at the end of the season.
It was
Yeah,
unbelievable, and
yeah.
a big part of that was the play of what do they call him? What's his nickname?
Dorito boy.
Dorito Boy. Yeah, he came out of nowhere and just dominated. A couple of 30+ point games to 20+ point games. It's a tremendous season, and I feel like they had a good mix of
Mhm.
size and scoring, and I feel like they might be missing. They were missing that one like
They're
X
missing
factor, maybe.
they're
Yeah,
missing a true point guard because Moshe. I think Moshe Kraft is a phenomenal player for tier 2.
yeah.
He is exactly who he is. I can't remember his name. Oh my gosh, the Dorito boy.
Vox,
Oh
Tuvia
yes,
Vox.
Tuvia Vox, and then they had the other shooter. What's his name? The guy who played for Michael Crone a few seasons ago. The
Played
shooter.
for
They had
Oh, Skates.
skates, and they had a very good
Yeah, they had
team,
a lot of good scores. They had a lot of good scores. Yeah.
but they were lacking that point guard that can get everybody involved. And in the playoffs against Barbacoa, it showed. Barbacoa completely steamrolled them. Granted that, Barbacoa had a massive upgrade midseason with Moshe Khalili. Definitely
Yeah.
made them a championship contender.
Yes, I agree. And
Uh,
again, I think it was a great, I think they had a great season. I obviously thank Jake Byrne for bringing in the team and the sponsor. And,
yeah.
they're very competitive. And again, it's either a young, competitive, fun, good team. And
Hmm.
hopefully they come back in some form. Moshe's talking about potentially bringing his own team this year. I don't know if it's tier 1 or tier 2,
Hmm.
but there's definitely some interest there. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's go on to number 5,
Number 5, we have Clutch Auto.
who is confirmed for the fall 2026
Now,
season.
now this isn't a knock on Clutch Auto. Yehuda's is gonna get a little upset. I know I'm gonna hear the back. Not Yehuda. I'm sorry.
Josh, then, yeah.
Josh is gonna complain about this. But the fact of the matter is, you lost in the first round. All right, Gordon Companies beat
Yeah.
you guys. There's nothing you could say about it. You guys had a phenomenal season. Your highlight was definitely beating with Misery.
Yeah.
Granted, it was without their best player, without Rob, but it was a 20-point win. It was a commanding win. So you definitely had a great high. That was the highlight of your season. They had a very good team. Shout out to Yehuda and Daniel Goldfarb, the Bookbinder brothers. They did put together a really good team. They had Malula off the bench. Always, I feel like every time this guy touched the ball, it was a 3 going in.
Yeah.
I feel like the last 2 games of the season, they were a little bit outmatched when they played against a very motivated Big E Meats in the last game of the season, where I think it was 39 to 14 at the half with 2 minutes to go in the half. We had just stopped the game because of the court conditions. But, they got a little bit exposed, and then in the playoffs, they blew a lead to Gordon Companies, where Harvey ultimately beat them at the buzzer. So
That was a crazy game. That was overtime also, right?
I don't remember if it was overtime or not, but I know that Harvey had a nice little putback to win the game.
That was an unbelievable game. And again, they're an awesome team. I spoke to Daniel, like I said yesterday, and they're excited to run it back in tier 2. And they're going to be competitive. The Buchbinder brothers, by the way, one of them, I forgot his name. He plays in the Elite League. So,
Yeah.
if he could make it to this Chasheva Elite League, they got, then he's got to be considered a star, especially to play in tier 2. So,
Okay.
we're excited to have them back. They're an awesome team, a fun team. Josh is a legend, and he's great for the league as well. They might be this time back under a new sponsor. I think they're working on that. We'll see what happens. Clutch may come back also in some capacity, but I think they're working on a new sponsor. Not sure how that's playing out, but we'll see. Anyways, moving on.
We are at number 4 right now.
Yeah.
At number 4, it's Gordon Companies, the team that beat Clutch on the playoffs. Gordon Companies is just another really good team. The size with Hamza and Harvey, the shooting with Raj, Minaj, all these guys, they're all knockdown shooters. Ultimately, they just ran into a wall at the end of the season where Bizery was poised, where Bizery was ready to go.
Yeah.
And, it was just a poor matchup for them. I feel like they matched up with us. They probably would have been a better matchup for them against us.
Mm-hmm.
The matchups just didn't go their way.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on them. They were a good team. Again, highlight of the season, I believe, was their last game of the season. TJB deals, overtime game, and it was a win-in-your-in situation, and they pulled it off at the end. So kudos to them.
And then had a buzzer they had 2 unbelievable
Clutch.
back-to-back
Yes.
wins. It was It was
Great games.
unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And again, their team is built around 3-point shooting with Raz, Minaj, Obi's a great 3-point shooter, and then they ultimately run their play through
Harvey and
Hamza
Hamza.
and Harvey. So they have a very good core. I spoke to Raz yesterday. Of course, he's running our kids leagues. He hopes to come back. He can't commit this far in advance, but they definitely hope they're going to run it back. And hopefully we are
And
happy
I
to
would
have
love to
them.
have my cousins back.
Love to have our cousins back. All right, the 3 seed,
The 3 seed,
3 in the power rankings.
let's give it to Barbacoa. Again, I think
I
Barbacoa,
agree. I agree. By the way,
Barbacoa, just another team that, again, it was just a poor matchup for them in the finals. I feel that if they would have played with Wizardry, they would have been a much stronger matchup. I truly believe that they would have beat Wizardry in the semis if they played with Wizardry. I
I don't disagree.
I just
I
think
don't.
I think the matchups just worked out better for them. I'm sorry, Barbacoa, great team. Uh, you know, Daniel Ibrahimi, excellent scorer. Their best player is definitely Moshe Khalili. When he joined their team, he took them to another level. He took them to a championship team. Their defense was intense. They were always running, and they were just a really fast team. Um, we played them in the semis, and let me tell you, it was just not easy to slow them down. We also lost our best player in the first half of a close game, and then
Yeah.
we just, we kind of just our game plan kind of changed, and we wore them down a little bit. We used their speed against them. When they would overcommit, and we would use it against them. But definitely a highlight of their season was definitely getting Moshe Khalili.
Yes. And
That was definitely a highlight.
I spoke to Bakalakana, and all other issues aside, he was like, oh, like maybe could we see if we could dial down tier 2 a bit. I'm like, why do you want to dial it down? Like, you guys had a really competitive team. You had a Khalili, and it's not like Khalili was, taking every shot. You guys played a great
Yeah,
team game.
yeah.
Khalili, he got shut down in the playoffs, and that's why you guys lost. And you didn't get blown out. It was a competitive game,
Well,
until the last few minutes. Like, why would you want to? You guys should want to try to, get better. It's not like guys weren't getting minutes. It's not like
well,
Bakalakano was riding the bench. They had 6 guys in the roster, I think, or even maybe 7. So hopefully they find a way to come back, and we'd love to have them. They're great guys. Of course, Ibra Thrimi is huge for the content of the league, and because he's a good person. I actually ran into him in Pescata in Brooklyn on Mother's Day around a month ago with his in-laws, so that was nice to see him. What are you doing in Brooklyn? He's like, oh, my in-laws live in Brooklyn. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. But anyways, they're great people, and we hope to have them back. So hopefully we'll have
absolutely.
them.
I think they're wonderful guys. I became very good friends with them throughout the season.
Yeah,
As the season progressed, we always just chatted up here and there, but they're great guys. And I really didn't want to play them in the semis because I knew that they would. I felt it that they would be beaten with Misery in the
yeah,
semis.
yeah.
And I kind of wanted them to be in the championship game because I think they were just a great group of guys.
I
Uh,
agree. They're great again, great energy. I think that's a theme of a lot of our teams. They just bring good energy, and by the way, that's what makes HSL, both basketball and softball, so successful. Besides for all the work that is put in from the people running the league, is the guys have great energy. They love
yeah,
it, right? It's their escape from their family. They get to be a kid again. It's just so awesome to,
yeah,
and we love those vibes. Guys come in and complain about everything, and it looks like they're coming just to blow off steam. Like, we're not looking for that. We're looking for guys who are coming to have a good time, good energy, hang out with the guys, be competitive. Obviously,
yeah,
want to win, but it's an escape from home. We're trying to give people the ability to feel like they're in camp again, they're in leagues again,
yeah.
they're 16 and not married. They're
It's got
running
that high
around.
school feeling.
Yeah, high school Shiva League type of feeling, and I feel like almost 99.9% of our league gives us those vibes, and that's one team that really encompasses that. All right, let's get into our top 2 teams as they're coming up in half an hour on the podcast. We'll get into tier 1 and go through MVPs, which is the climax of our podcast here. Of course, it is Biggie Meats and Wabizzer who met up in the championship. So Jeff, why don't you sort of encompass both teams, go through their seasons, and talk about ultimately the championship game, and give us a little run through here.
All right. So it's kind of hard for me to talk about my own team because I do it all the time.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to get an outside source. I was hoping you would take it over, but I'll do Wabizzer, you'll do Biggie Meats.
Okay.
So at number 2, I think it's definitely Wabizzer. Great team, start to finish. I mean, if Rob shows up, they probably have a perfect season.
Yeah.
Probably finish the season at 8-0. They definitely spanked us. I think the highlight of their season was them beating us during the regular season. They absolutely put a whooping
Beat you
on us.
guys down. Beat you guys
Yeah,
down.
I think we scored 27 as a team against them.
Yeah.
Rob, great guy. You could see that he was a little flustered in the championship game because you heard that crowd. That crowd was just.
No, I was actually gonna get to that. Yeah, but go ahead, continue.
Great group of guys. Nathan Ilyabayev, such a sweetheart. Joe and I go back maybe 20 years. Moshe was just, another guy from Silver Key, great guy. Just a good group of dudes. Again, I think that they were really unliked a lot because of how, it's kind of, people were not ready for that in tier 2.
They took right. I was gonna say they took on the persona as some super team in tier 2, which is debatably whether it's true or not. But they did because they had a very successful season. Even though there was a lot of close games ish, they pulled away almost every single game. They won by an average of 13 to 14 points throughout the regular season.
Yep.
And they took on this persona of like, who are these guys coming into tier 2 and trying to bully everyone around? Now, ironically enough, like I said, they barely hung on to beat a day 3 team who finished last. They lost in the championship.
They played down to day 3.
They did. No. Granted, they played down, but I'm saying, and obviously there weren't some team that was, invincible. They didn't win the championship. At the end of the day, if you don't win a championship, it's not a successful season. But they did take on the persona of that team that, like, encompassed, like, oh, this tier 2 now is stupid. It's way too talented. And they sort of were the brunt of that. So they took a lot of hate throughout the season. And listen, they didn't let it. They did their thing. Good for them. They had a very successful season.
I feel like they got a lot more heat than Big E Meats did, for example. Big E Meats was a really good team, but Big E Meats was to me, in my opinion, was configured with just a bunch of good tier 2 players.
Yeah, that's true. Also,
a bunch of tier 2 players that just knew how to play together at the end of the day.
And by the way, for everyone asking, like, oh, how are the teams? I get a simple answer. Like, I'm gonna have to look at the roster. Now we know most of these players, and we'll approve the roster. If it's too good for a tier 2 team, we'll tell them you have to cut X, A or B. We'll have to look at the roster and approve it. We now know a lot of these guys. And to talk on Biggie Meats, Jeff, obviously you guys won the championship. I think you guys had the perfect mix. You had guys who are really good scorers. You had, you had big men down low. You had young guys coming off the bench. You were a deep team. You had 9 guys coming in. To your point, Josh and Johnny are such fireballs. They come in, they bring energy, they play defense, they shoot threes. You had a mix of just perimeter defense.
Not Johnny. It was Josh and Max.
Sorry, Josh and Max.
A 17 and an 18-year-old kid coming off the bench.
Yeah, perimeter defense, 3-point shooting, play inside. And the real theme is energy. You guys just brought energy. The only game that I think you guys didn't bring energy, which you guys looked absolutely dead in, was in the game against Wabizri. You guys just looked dead from the beginning. I don't know what happened there. There was zero energy from even the beginning of the game. There was almost no energy. And then I think there was a playoff game in which the first half you guys looked very, very, very Barbacoa game. You looked very, very off kilter. I think you guys went down pretty big at one point. If I'm not mistaken.
They started the game 8-0 on us. Khalili went on a single-handed.
Yeah, and you guys looked very.
But Josh, that's when Danny went down and Josh came in, and Josh scored 14 points in the last 6-7 minutes of the game.
Correct. Josh is a great player. Of course, Danny had a couple of real highlights. He led the. He had the second to most points, right?
He was right behind Harvey or Tuvia or one of them.
Tuvia Vox had the most. I think Danny had 33 or 34. Vox maybe 37 or 38 in a game. But again, going to the championship, I think it was just energy. You guys just wanted it more. And that's what I predicted actually going into the championship. I thought you guys wanted it more. You guys are locked in. You were focused. Once, you were half an hour from the game, Ezra and everyone dropped their HSL responsibilities or volunteer work, whatever you want to call it, and you guys were zoned in, and you were fully focused on the game, and I think that carried into it. The crowd was on your side. The intensity in that gym was amazing, and we could get into that as well. I would very much consider doing the Tier 1 championship first next year. I feel like for whatever reason, Tier 2, there's more of a vibe, more of an intensity to it, more of a cultural, more of a family feel. Hopefully we could sort of incorporate that into Tier 1. Not that there isn't in Tier 1, but try to incorporate it more. But
I think it's all about who plays in the championship game at the end of the day.
Right, that's true also. We'll have to see the matchups maybe.
I think last season we said that if it was Olam versus Silver Key in the finals, you would have had an absolute madhouse.
Right, Nava Wiggs versus Silver Key. Yeah, you're right.
Both teams pull a crowd.
Right, that's true. But again, I truly think Biggie Meats was just a perfect mix of the energy, of size, of shooting, of defense, and really of hustle and heart. And I think that's what comes down to it. And I think that's ultimately what got the win. Obviously, Wabizri came back at the end of the championship a little bit. They were down 10-15 most of the game. Then they came back within like 7, 6, 5 at one point.
They cut it to 2 points.
2 was.
We took the timeout, and I think we subbed out Ezra at that point.
Yeah.
And we went with we subbed out Josh. We put Ezra back in because we needed a little bit of a rebounding body out there.
Mm-hmm.
And worked perfectly. Remember we had a little bit of a high screen into their zone, and I believe it was Max who got open on the left wing and hit his first 3 of the game. It was a huge 3, And the very next possession, we got the ball back, and Ariel hit that corner three and got fouled, which ultimately pulled the game away from them. And then
Wow.
Jesse just knocked down those big free throws at the end, and it was definitely an intense game. I do believe that the crowd did take them out of the game to some point, and people till today say like, "Hey, we think that they were a better team than you guys. They were definitely more talented than Big E meets, especially because we were missing Danny in the championship game.
Yeah, that's huge. We didn't even
We were
mention
missing
that.
we were missing our top scorer in the championship game, and yes, it got everybody else involved. It allowed us to let Ariel score, let Jesse score, let Max score. We only had three guys that scored in the championship game. It was Max, Ariel, and Jesse. I think the three of them combined for everything. And Sam chipped in 6 points.
Hmm.
Everybody else, it was just the three guards. So it was it was the crowd on our side, and you could tell because Rob, I love you, Rob, but you could tell it was getting to him because he was, as the crowd was booing him and chanting it's
Yeah.
overrated at him, he was acknowledging it. He
Yeah,
kept
he
looking at
yeah he
them.
definitely was talking to the crowd. He definitely hit a couple of big shots, but for the most part, again, it's hard. It's a small gym. Yeah,
Mhm.
probably 100, people in there. They're making noise. It's hectic. It's a championship game. It's not easy. Also, like, maybe I know Rob. Did Rob play D2 or D3 ball back in the day?
Division
So
two basketball,
So
Division two
I'm so
football.
I'm sure it's something that he's somewhat used to. Maybe he hasn't done it in a bunch of years, but your typical player is not necessarily used to dealing with a crowd of 100 people, screaming at you during a basketball game, right? Most games are
Yeah.
either in the Y or in the YMCA or in the yeshiva gym. Like, you're not necessarily used to this type of environment, so it's definitely not easy. And I think it got to them. Rob had a decent game. It's not like a horrible game, but
Mhm.
overall it got to them, and I think allowed Biggie Meats, ultimately to get the chip. And congrats to Jeff, to you. Obviously, Ben Roberts, another great job constructing a team. Ben was on a really strong run. He went back-to-back championships with his Tier 1 teams, and he fell short with Tier 2. We'll get into Tier 1 in a few minutes. But it was a great season. And again, we're happy that Biggie Meats is coming back. Ben is not confirmed yet, but Ben never confirms till like last second. But I'm 99 point. I would say I'm 100% sure he's coming back, even though he hasn't confirmed yet. So we're excited to have them both back in whatever capacity.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just, again, tier two was, we rocked it. It was amazing. Crazy one from 5 teams to 12 teams in one season. I'm scared to know how many teams we're gonna end up with this season. We are working on another gym. Besides for the Common Point gym on Sundays, we are working on another gym for more consistent availability, which might be even a little closer to the 5 town. So um,
Nice.
hopefully that works. He did respond to me, Jeff, and he is looking into it. So
Gotcha.
hopefully that'll work out. And yeah, I mean, Jeff, if you want, you could actually announce once we're at tier two. If we're gonna do, you could announce the MVP now. The MVP is brought to you by Twillory.
Gotcha. So
Twillory is a big partner of the HSL, of course, in many facets, both with basketball, with our HSL, Twillory tournament that we are super excited to announce registration opening up soon, which is our softball league in the fall. And they sponsored air suits for the MVPs for the fall winter basketball league. So Jeff, why don't you take it away and announce your tier two MVP, and I can give the stat lines once you're finished.
so this actually makes me very proud. This is a kid that I actually saw growing up, 13 years old when he started playing basketball. He played on the same team as my brother. He played with us. Unfortunately, he missed the second half of the playoffs. But congratulations to Danny Cohen of Big E Meats on winning the Tier 2 MVP. Super proud of you, man. You deserved it. You worked hard. I Unfortunately you got hurt at the end, but we wouldn't have been there without you, brother.
Yeah, and
Congratulations to Danny.
and congratulations. Just to clarify, it is a regular season MVP. It does not carry throughout the playoffs and championships. Danny Cohn ended with close to 19 points on average. He had 7.5 boards, 3 assists, a steal, and a half a block. According to our what do you want to call it? Um, our stat. What do you call it? How do they work stats this year in general? Now they go analytic. For our
Yeah.
analytic department, he and chat GBT and Ezra Kolsky and a couple other guys. He was definitely the front runner for MVP. So congrats to you, Danny. We'll make you a nice flyer, and hopefully you'll be able to hit the 5 towns soon. Pick up your Twillery suit. They have air suits. They have wool suits. They got it all now. Twillery's the best. So congratulations to Danny. Also a shout out to the co MVPs for the championship game who received some nice trophies. Jeff, why don't you give them a shout out?
Also, shout out to the Tier 2 Championship co-MVPs. It was really hard to give it to one guy because these two guys just, if you were there, they completely took over the game. Couldn't do without them. So congratulations to Jesse and Ariel. They just proved that game in the championship game. Somebody yelled it. I don't remember who it was, but they said heart over height. And
Yeah.
these two guys that are about 5'6", completely wrecked the championship game against these guys. So congratulations to Ariel and Jesse.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick note on Ariel Srelov. So like when he came into the league, like obviously he had all these highlights of playing in Ami and scoring 40 points and 45 points. And I'm like, okay, like he's not doing that in this league. Like, how is he gonna be like have an impact? And like he didn't do it, and he still had an unbelievable impact. Like what he averaged, maybe 12 to 15 points a game, but
We
he had
were undefeated when he
seven
played.
boards, 5 assists, balls moving. Like, it was unbelievable to watch him adjust. Again, I don't know, maybe he did that in Ami as well, but, go from, being the guy putting up 30 to 40 points every game to, cutting that dramatically, but still producing to the extent where he had such an impact on his team. Like you were saying, they never lost a game with him on the court. He was injured for a lot of the season. It's very impressive, and a shout out to him, and a shout out to Biggie Meats, your tier 2 champions. All right,
Yeah,
we're
and
40
it's
minutes
also,
in. Yeah.
I think our win margin. I think, yes.
Right. So we're gonna try to cap this at an hour. So we're gonna have to really run through.
That's it. We're good. We'll keep moving forward.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to cap this at an hour. So let's try to run through tier 1 now. We don't want to go too fast. We save on a couple of teams. Unfortunately, didn't work out. So we're not gonna even go through them. I don't think it makes sense to. So we'll leave them out. So let's go through tier 1. Let's start at, I guess, call it number 10, Jeff, of teams that actually played. Well, actually, we could talk about Twillory. I mean, Twillory, yeah.
Twillory.
Yeah. So which two teams we can't? One team. This is really one team that we can't talk about, right? It's just J and Z. Okay, so let's start with 11. Go to Twillory. All right, let's get going right away, Jeff. Give me your thoughts on Twillory.
Twillory, they didn't belong in tier 1. Respectfully, when the first game of the season happened, I saw them playing that scrimmage, and I came to Mendy and I said, Mendy, you need to add somebody because this team is not going to compete. He looked at me. He said, you worry about your team, we'll worry about our team. And I said, okay, have fun this season. And it just showed their one win was a forfeit win. And just not a good team this season.
It's just very unfortunate. Sometimes you have teams that come in that just don't have the talent. They're also, a lot of miscommunications. It was, with every, they say with every one unsuccessful product, you have a lot of successful products, and unfortunately, Twillory just didn't work out. Not the sponsor, Chas Shalom, but the team. Hopefully, a couple of the players could pick up the pieces for next season and sort of regroup and redo it and give it another shot. But it's unfortunate, but we love them and hope the best for them, and hopefully they could continue their future in HSL with other players. All right, let's get into number 10, Jeff.
Number 10, Holy Schnitzel.
Yeah.
Holy Schnitzel, just another team. If they just came every week, they would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Team that just doesn't show up. Again, best ability is availability. They did bring us some amazing talent. They brought us an all-star. Oren Michal played in the all-star game. Phenomenal player.
Going to be a regular in the upcoming season, as you said.
Going to be a regular. He's playing for Malva Capital this season coming up.
Yeah.
Be a regular. Just excellent player. The talent was there. The availability was not. So, again, nothing you can do about it. So, let's move on. Sorry, Holy Schnitzel. Better luck next season. Number 9, I think we got Michel Krohn. Now, Michel Krohn, super talented up and down their lineup. They beat up some good teams. They beat Silver Key. I believe they beat Vilay at one point this season.
Yeah.
They beat good teams. Unfortunately, they started off slow, and they just couldn't come back. I think they got the big guy that they got approved, the one that wears the Chabad cap.
Winter.
Not
Winter. Ruben. Ruben.
Ruben.
I actually spoke to Michel Krohn. They are coming back. He isn't confirmed. He didn't text me they are, but they're retooling. They're trying to get Ruben to be. I think Ruben's a top 3 player in the league. That's
absolutely.
He's unbelievable. And Michel Krohn claims he's healthy now, also, by the way. But that was that also led. They were very unhealthy. Michel missed a lot of games. T. Ruben didn't join until halfway through the season. The only consistent guys were Zeke and Elior, who played great, but they didn't really have much support around them for much of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and number 8, we have the Aiden Gurin's team. What was that team?
That was Fine Lines, captained by Jake Epstein, who is also a very proud member of our HSL softball league.
Gotcha. Great team, amazing team. Definitely one of the scariest teams because Aiden is a freak.
Oh my goodness!
The guy could do no wrong on the court. I think he's got 6'6", and he could just hit it. He hits 30-footer. Porzingis.
He actually also made his. They say they call him the Jewish Chet Holmgren, but he actually made his HSL softball debut a few weeks ago. And he's flying around the outfield, like he's like a freak athlete. He was a 3-time Yeshiva League athlete. He played, I think, for the TABC. What was it? Basketball, baseball. What was the last one? Was it hockey?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure,
I'm
but
not stalking his Instagram,
they,
man.
Jake Epstein promised me, and Aiden promised me that they're coming back, and Aiden is sort of taking control of retooling this team, and he said they're going to be a top 3 team in the league this year. So I'm
Gotcha.
excited for that. They're all in, and they're excited. I think they really enjoyed the league. They enjoyed the 3-point shootout. He got to do it with his brother, which was also a great player, which I think he really enjoyed, and we're excited to have them back.
Gotcha. Number 7, we have Cerimian. Last minute team. Appreciate
Yes,
everything they did for the league.
yes,
Thank you to Rob and Kia and Kayla Pollen and Johnny Shim and Mike Endler and the guys that just came in. Cerimian was a team that the league kind of got screwed on a little bit.
yeah.
And, again, we didn't want everybody to have a forfeit. So we ended up trying to put a team together at the last minute. So we were just reaching out and we said, we want to put a team together that's good. And they definitely exceeded our expectations from when we put
Yeah.
them on. I think some of the referees like, hey, this team might win the championship.
Some
And they
weeks
were,
it looked like
yeah,
that
when
with the
Jordan would show
Jordan.
up and
Yeah.
Rob,
Yeah.
fantastic team. Can't say enough about them. They really helped us out this season. So thank you very
So,
much to
so does
Cerimian.
that mean that they're not going to be coming back this year if a bunch of those guys are starting the league with a team with what's his face with
I will see. We will see. I'm pretty sure. I know that Kia loved Tier 1. I know that Isaac and Kia they loved
right, saying
them
right now
Tier
Isaac
1.
and Kia don't have a tier 1 team right now, you're saying.
I don't think so. I know they're looking forward to it. I know that last I spoke to Isaac, he wants to do it.
All right, so we'll see if they put them together in tier 1.
Okay. Now where are we up to? Number 6.
Yeah.
The Cheese Store.
Yeah.
Ezra, Jake, you guys put together a phenomenal team. Definitely one of the more fun teams to watch this season.
So fun. They're fun
You
because
guys, I think from what I saw this season, the 2 most fun teams to watch are definitely the Cheese Store and the original Jay-Z Couture team.
yeah.
They were the 2 most fun teams to watch. They were up and down the court. 3-pointers were flying. Just such a fun season. Such a great team to watch. Good stuff, guys. I really enjoyed watching you guys. Dubin Brothers, you guys put together a great team. Came up a
Yeah,
little short.
Ari Ivry was a huge addition.
Yeah,
Ivry,
another one.
Another guy
Another
who
one.
plays in the elite league, is a great player. He actually was hurt in the beginning of the season, and if you ask him, I wouldn't say he had his best stuff in the HSL basketball league. You watch some highlights of him in the elite league. He's an unbelievable point guard. Unbelievable passer. He has a great shot, awesome finish at the hole also. And I think again they got into the playoffs. They beat Holy Schnitzel in that last game to get in, and they just fell short. Right, they just fell short in the
They played. I think they played not Novice Wigs. They played. They were the 6th seed, I believe.
Who did they lose to in the first round?
Ceremian played Navas. They played MS Motors.
MS Motors, yeah. MS Motors. We'll get to them in a second. They're a very tough team, and they're even gonna be better next year.
Yeah,
just scary.
At the 5, I believe we have the Valai Vipers.
Yes.
Again, just one of those teams. If Sharifian shows up, if their team shows up, they are a championship team.
1000%.
And I tell Dylan this every season, and he's coming in again. He's telling me, I'm bringing Daniel Sharifian again. I said, you're doing it to yourself.
All right. Now
Dylan has Stockholm syndrome.
Now Dylan's confirmed he's running it back this year. Jack and Noah are being a little iffy, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if Dylan has a wild card that we don't know about. With this elite league now, it's very difficult for guys because the elite league's Monday, and the JSL league in the 5 towns, which is the people view as the king of the crop, is on Sundays. So unless guys are able to get out 3 nights a week, it's gonna be a little difficult. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if they're able to play, if they're able to be eligible. But Dylan has said that he plans on coming back for Tier 1. So hopefully he does. They're a very competitive team, and we'd like to keep these teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, you got to do this one because I'd be too biased on this one.
Number 4, we got Silver Key. Silver Key, has had the win of the year. You would call it, right? I would say maybe the upset of the year between both tiers. I pulled into the parking lot. I forgot why I couldn't be there for that game. I had something going on, and I see Joey dancing in the parking lot. He's dancing. He's drinking. He's music's blasting. I'm like, what happened? He's like, we knocked them fly. We did it. We beat them. And that sort of sums them up. They're a big family. They're a bunch of really close friends. Guys have been playing ball together for a very long time. Of course, captained by the man on the screen with me, Jeff. And they're a very good team. Of course, Mike is the former reigning MVP, and he leads the way. He had a couple of big shots, a couple of big time 3-point shots, and Silver Key came very close. A Joey 3 that went halfway down from winning a big game at the end of the
Two
season.
games. We lost 2 games at the buzzer.
Yeah, and then also and then unfortunately, there was a rough outing in the playoffs. They fell short for the second year in a row. I know
Well,
Jeff's. Yeah, go ahead.
so I mean that playoff game against Rise to Fly. The game was close in the beginning. It was a back and forth game. It was punch for punch. They were up one most of the time. It was back and
Yeah.
forth. And once Dima picked up that third foul in the first half, we really
Deemer's
had nobody.
the heart and soul, the heart and soul.
Once Dima picked up that third foul, and I think we got a little bit into foul trouble, and Danny got himself thrown out of the game. And we had to rely on the young guys, Josh and Johnny, who were great, but the young.
Yeah.
And we ultimately the game got away from us once we lost our defensive anchor. Once Dima went down, Jeremy just did whatever he wanted, and it was a tough game for us. I think that we were better than the scoreboard showed.
Yes.
I think we lost by 20 something, but I think we were much better than the scoreboard showed. But listen, kudos to them. Ari Allswing had his team up and ready the whole season, and congrats to them.
We'll miss Ari, and I spoke to Yoni today, and again, for them, I think they want to run it back. It's just logistical issues, so we'll see if they could work it out. But Ari's heading to South Florida, and hopefully he still hasn't confirmed whether or not he's in for our basketball league. We have, I think, 7 teams without him, so he'd be the 8th. So hopefully he's in. We're waiting to see if he's going to be able to play, but we wish him the best down in South Florida. I think he's moving within the next few weeks. So,
I think that Rise to Fly Silver Key game perfectly, shows what HSL is. It was a game where there were fights.
Yeah.
Where there were basically fists thrown. There were ejections, there were technicals thrown up all over the place, and I remember I checked in because the tempers were getting a little hot. I checked in and I started just joking around with Ari, and try to make it just loosen up the vibes a little bit. And we did loosen up.
Yeah.
After the game. We got our asses handed to us.
Yeah.
At the end of that game, and what did we do at the end of the day? You were sitting there with Ari and Yoni and all them. We're drinking shots. We're taking shots of tequila after the game. So it's just a perfect representation of what the HSL is. It's a big family. We leave it on the court, and that's the most important thing. People, I think it was who was that? Sassoon.
Charlie.
We saw him. Charlie. I saw him right before our semifinal game against Rise to Fly. He was in the gym, and he was afraid to say hi to Dima. He goes, I'm scared of that guy. He's like, why? I'm like, why? He goes, he threatened to kill me during the game. I was like, oh, he's harmless. Dima's like the nicest guy in the world. Like, it's basketball. We leave it on the court. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. It's we like the intensity, but we're also a family off the court.
Absolutely.
All right. Who's now we're breaking on the top 3.
Navas Wigs is number 3.
Yeah.
And this is the lowest they've ever been ranked.
That is. Yes, it is.
And, they just walked into a buzzsaw. Orbach was not going to lose that game. Ben was not going to lose that game.
No.
And it's tough when you're playing without Elad. Elad is an absolute stud. Not to say, it was one of those games where it looked like MS Motors Toasted just completely outmatched them.
Yeah, from top to finish, it was a shocker because, Nava Wigs, they've obviously lost games here and there in the HSL. They never looked like this. They just were destroyed. The closest they got was within 10 when they were down by 25 the whole game, and then away
Orbach took over again.
Yeah, and again, maybe it was energy, maybe it was cocky. I don't know what it was. Obviously, a lot was out, but still, Matt's an unbelievable player. What?
I'll tell you what it was. In my opinion, I think that Shalom Babayev, Steve.
Yeah.
He coached these kids in North Shore.
Yeah.
So he knows their strength, he knows their weaknesses. And as you're watching the game, Steve Shalom, a good friend of mine, I went to high school with him. So I've known him for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was just sitting there and he was coaching the kids as they're playing. He's telling him, hey, Dave, go over here. Or, David here, Ben there. He's Warsaw there. And he's just navigating the defense. And you could see that it was frustrating Nava's weeks because Shalom had them all in perfect position. He had them exactly where they needed to be defensively. Offensively, he had them perfectly set up. He had a beautiful 2-3 zone.
Yeah.
And the outlets were flying. Every time the shot would go up, Orbach is already down the court. They were flying. And it sucks. I've never seen it, but they,
I guess they're, I guess they're the 2 seed. We can talk about them now also. I got a message literally within 24 hours of them losing the championship from the other Warsaw brother who didn't play saying, hey, count us in for the fall. We're running it back. We're adding guys. So they're also super excited and they're.
Little Ari Warsaw had to call his brother for help.
By the way, another
Caught
guy who
that
plays,
D2A from All Swing.
another two guys who play in the Elite League, Ben Abazad and Ari also, and Warsaw, who both play in the Elite League as well. So, we're just building up. We basically could build two full teams of Elite League guys for all the hate HSL gets for lack of talent. Anyways, let's finish it out here at number one, and we could
And it
wish a
was all
farewell
season,
and a
A to
goodbye
Z.
to two players in that team. Israel Wasser and Ari Allswing, who one is in Israel, one moving to Florida. But Jeff, tell us about Rides to Fly and their revenge season, as they like to call it.
They were not going to be denied this season. Yeah, there's nothing to say about it. It was they completely. I think their closest game of the season was against Navas Wigs earlier in the season, where the game ended on free throws.
Yeah,
and that was it. I think their win margin was 25 a game.
yeah, and they just blew
They
by teams. They just dominated. They're just
like
absolute. Their chemistry was just amazing. Pacey and Bucks, and of course the new addition. And
Jeremy.
the ultimate championship MVP, Jeremy, just ran the pick and roll so fluid with all swing. It was like missing Wasser. Like it's almost like not only did they not skip a beat, they like took an extra beat.
Can
Yeah,
I just say, and this is not a knock on Yisro, on Wasser. They were better without Wasser. The ball moved. There was when Silver Key, right? Silver Key is very big on game plan. We like to we game plan. We try to prepare ourselves for anybody we play. We came into that game prepared for Jeremy and Olswing. And what happened is that guys like Pacey, guys like Sharf, and
Levenger.
guys like Levenger wasn't there against us.
Oh,
And guys like the Klein, you don't realize how good the rest of their players are.
yeah.
Because of how good the pick and roll of
someone was telling me that who I ran into someone recently, and they're like, because all swing is gonna leave, like they're like, now you're gonna see, assuming they come back, guys like Pacey is just gonna step up and just be guys are gonna be shocked by how talented he is, because he was the third or fourth guy in the roster. Depending if Wasser was there
absolutely.
or not. Yeah,
Pacey's he's a freak athlete. Yeah, and it's when we played against them, like you have to actually play against them to realize how good they actually are. They were phenomenal beginning of the season to the end of the season. They started the season with a blowout over the Fly Vipers. They blew out us. They blew out MS Motors in the championship. They basically blew out everybody except for one game this season. It was a dominant season. Congratulations, Ari. Congratulations to Jeremy and Yoni and Levenger and Klein and Sharf and all those guys. You guys earned it. It was a great season for you guys. Congratulations. And who was the MVP of that game? Was Jeremy?
Jeremy won the MVP.
Well,
yes,
well deserved. Great player.
Definitely deserved the MVP. And like you said, he had a unbelievable season, unbelievable game. And again, he's not 5'8", small guard, freakishly athletic, and we love to see that.
Yeah, for a guy, he's a good mensch.
He's a good mensch. He's a good guy mensch. He's a good guy.
I know what? There was one game where he won player of the game, and he put on a yarmulke, and we put a yarmulke on him for the interview, and he took it. He was like, "All right, let's do it."
Yeah.
Just a sweetheart of a guy.
He is. He took the one for one game. He took like the bus to the train. Took like almost 2 hours to get there.
That's respect. You got to respect a player like that. Avi, you want to announce your tier 1 MVP?
Yeah, so let's go through MVP now. It was a very close race, and there are multiple people who were, very close. One of which was Ari Allswing, who did not win, but he was a runner-up. He had a dominant season. His team went undefeated. So congratulations to Ari for being runner-up and again having an awesome season. However, after speaking to the analytical department and everyone involved in the stats and the season and all the people who are, a new word that I learned throughout the Knicks finals is something observer. What's it called? Independent something, an IO something. Basically, someone who has no real yeah, and someone who doesn't really have a bias towards anybody. And he decided that fine lines without Aiden Gurin might have gone 1-7 or 2-6, right? Mm-hmm. Like they were really, really in trouble. And speaking of Aiden Gurin, he is going to be the tier 1 Twillory MVP, and he averaged over 25 points, almost 14 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal and a half a block. He literally kept his team alive in multiple games by himself. They called him the Jewish Holmgren. I think he's a Jewish Porzingis. He had an unbelievable season, and congrats to Aiden. Again, it's a regular season award, so although they fell short in the playing game, that doesn't matter at all. It's totally regular season award. We feel like he had the biggest impact on his team, the biggest impact in Tier 1, and he will win a Twillory suit sponsored by Twillory. Congrats to you, Aiden. We're coming up on an hour now. Quick shout out to Nava Wiggs, Matt, and Elad, who won the three-point shootout, the Twillory three-point shootout. Congrats to them. Congrats to Holy Schnitzel. We still have to get you your gift cards, but coached by Jeff, who won the Holy Schnitzel All-Star Game. Congrats to you guys for that. We cannot wait to bring both that back. We're actually working on a potential league sponsor for the whole basketball league, which will hopefully bring a lot more hype, a lot more fun, a lot more, more added everything to the league, buzz, hype, and whatever way you could imagine. So once we have that confirmed, we'll announce it right away. But yeah, it's been a tremendously successful season. Of course, there's a huge thank you to everyone involved. All of our refs, to Dom for arranging the refs, Ezra Kolsky, Ben Roberts for bringing in teams, and of course the man here on the screen, Jeff Suleimanov, who's literally took time out of his own personal time. He's not getting paid. He's not getting, this is all out of love for the game, love for HSL. And we really appreciate everything that Jeff's done for the HSL. And we appreciate, lastly, all of you guys, the players, the captains, the sponsors. We went through every single sponsor as we went through the final power rankings, and we owe a huge debt of gratitude to all of you guys. Without you, players and sponsors, none of this would be possible. And yeah, we could call it that. We're just over an hour. Again, registration is open only for players. Come July 1st, we will be making a gorgeous flyer. We'll be releasing that flyer to the public, and then it's first come, first serve. But over the next 3 weeks or so, guys, if you want to bring back a team, lock it in now. We will lock up your spot. We trust you that there's no, you don't need to put a deposit in yet. That will be required at some point closer to the season, but we trust you guys that if you commit to being in, you will be in. So please get your commitments and your confirmations in now. And I think that's good. I think we're good. I think I'm ready to go. Jeff, any final words before we log out?
I just got a text from Jeremy Tabak. He said, "Don't forget to thank Omar and Steve for everything they've done."
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
listen, we
where's
do.
my assist?
At the end of the day, we appreciate all the refs. Reffing is not an easy job. It really isn't. And we have gone through, if I use the HE double hockey stick word, which I hate using, that and back, in the last 3 seasons with refs. And again, it's been tough, but we've been doing everything we can. I think any level-headed person with somewhat of a brain knows that HSL is doing whatever they can to try to make it as professional and as competitive and as fun and as real. And obviously, things don't always work out for everyone, but we're always here to try to innovate and update and just try to make everything as amazing for everybody. So thank you, everyone. We're excited again for the fall season. It's gonna be bigger and better than ever. Stay tuned for all the updates. And Jeff, I appreciate you coming on with me. Thanks so much.
No problem, Avi. Have a good day.
You too.